Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? Coming at you with another video. This video right here is basically a cleanup video. I've done a lot of videos and I gave you guys a lot of information, and I've gotten a lot of questions, a ton of questions, and I'm going to answer a lot of those questions right now. And I just want to say, first off, thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it. As a professional mechanic, I tend to use a lot of awesome tools that I use in my trade on the everyday. And I know a lot of you guys don't have these tools, but I just want to let you know a lot of them are readily available to rent at at your local auto parts store. Sorry I sound a little hoarse, I'm a little sick. So if you hear me hacking up along, I apologize. It's just trying to muscle through it, you know what I mean? So some of the things I've gotten questions on was timing, carburetor float adjustments, how can I check my timing, my bike is running lean, how do you check a lean bike without burning up. There's a lot of people who run the bikes and they're trying to work on it as it's running, and then they burn a hole in the piston. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different techniques. I showed you guys a couple. When you're jetting a carburetor, you always start with a bigger jet and work your way down to a smaller one. Until you find the jet that fits your bike without overheating it. Okay, when a bike has a lean condition, it tends to overheat, and it tends to what do you call it there? It tends to burn a hole in the piston and really just score up the piston. It's got a lot of negative effects on it. You know, it causes hot spots on pistons. I've showed you those before. One person says they heard about a spark plug, that the spark plug will tell you. A spark plug is a storybook. A spark plug is basically your little guy inside the engine saying, okay, this is what's going on. And I'm going to show you what I mean. If you pick up any automotive book, whether it be for your car or your truck, your dirt bike, your four-wheeler, whatever it is, you're going to have a chart. And in that chart, it's going to have a picture diagram. Unfortunately, some companies in their books like to put black and white ones, and you really can't tell with the black and white pictures what you're actually looking at. But this right here is an overheated plug. See how it's all blistered and crusty like? You know, that right there is an overheated plug. That is a normal plug. See how close they look? I'm going to show you guys this one more time. Now, if you look at the electrode in the middle, see how it's got a sharp edge? It's kind of crisp. Okay, that is a good electrode. When they start to get rounded and worn, like that one right there, see how it's rounded on the edges? That's a worn plug. See how it's like, it almost looks like a cork type thing. Cork, you know? It's a little on the discolored side, and it's got a lot of, you know, what do you call it? Almost pitting. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's like the porcelain is boiling. You know what I mean? Bubbling up, blistering. Shows you excessive oil, ash deposits, and that right there is a product of your oil, by the way. So, and it shows you up here the proper way to gap a plug, which I showed you. I did that on a video already. Okay, and then a worn plug, you can see how everything's just worn out. The ground is worn thin, and the electrode is shorter and rounded at the same time. So those are a couple of things to look for. So if you have a lean condition on your bike, this right here is what it's going to look like right here. Okay. Couple of things I'm going to go over tonight and show you guys some cool stuff and some okay stuff. Now, I showed you guys, I'm going to get into the carburetor real quick because that's a short part of it. I showed you guys that I use this. This is a general tool. It's the caliper vernier that I use. I use this thing on everything. I'm going to turn it on here. Okay. It does millimeters, put it all like that, and zero it out. Okay, and then you can open it up to 24 millimeters. I'm doing this on camera, so bear with me here. Okay, 24. You have to kind of wind it in, but you guys get the idea. It's 24 millimeters. Alright, and then you can change over where it says mode. Click it over to mode. Now it's in inches. Click it over again. Now it's in fractions. See what I'm saying? You guys can move things down to fractions, all that type of stuff. So anyway, when we get into the carburetor adjustment, you don't have to buy this tool to do your carburetor adjustment. There are many different ways of doing a carburetor adjustment. I'm talking about the float. Okay, adjusting the float. That's why I use. This is what I use, but you don't have to. This right here will shut itself off too. It's really cool. You can also get one of these little. This is made by KD Tools. It's just a little pocket. It goes in like a pocket protector. You see a lot of mechanics carrying them around. They got a little chart on the back for, you know, converting things over. Sorry about the lighting. But it's got this little piece right here that slides. You can slide that up and down, and it's measured for 24 millimeters. So you can put it to whatever adjustment you want. You can do depth with this. I mean, you can do anything, but that's what you basically need. So you're gonna use the millimeter side. Go to 24. Boom. You're all adjusted. Put that in there, and you're all set. Now, some of you guys don't even have this at home. So what else can you use? You guys are gonna love me. I do all the math for you. I do it all. I plan it all out. This is so slightly off. It's not going to make a bit of difference. Okay? So, ready? I want to show you guys something really cool. A float adjustment on your carburetor. Now this, mind you, is not dead on. Okay? I want to put that on. And this is not dead smack right on it, but it's so close it's not going to make a difference. Okay? I take my caliper vernier. It's zeroed off. Open it up. I take a quarter, 25-cent piece, bam. See how it's 24.19? Here we go. It's like that, 24.23. Okay, that is very, very close. Now watch this. I'm going to take this off. Now I'm going to wind this down, see where the mark is. I'm going to bring it right up close to you. I am barely moving that. See right there on the mark on the 9? I'm barely moving. So this is not going to make a difference on the size, but this is basically, you can adjust your KE or KD, a KM, basically your G3, all those carburetors with a quarter. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about the adjustment. Okay? I did a video and I wasn't clear on how to adjust it, so I'm going to do that again. Okay, I really appreciate the feedback, guys. Thank you. This makes my videos more helpful, and it helps you guys do your thing. And I try to do stuff to help you guys out using basic tools, and that's really what I'm about. Okay, because I've been a backyard mechanic and I've been a professional mechanic, so I like to share with both. Okay. Here's a used carburetor. It's not cleaned. Excuse me. God, this cold is awful. You don't adjust the carburetor from the edge. You adjust it from the just inside the ridge. Okay? To the 24 millimeters. Okay, my finger's actually holding it down. But you guys get the idea. Okay? The top of the quarter is going to go to the top of the bolt. This float is incorrectly adjusted, but it's because the needle in the back there is all the way in. So if it was where it's supposed to be, this is a gummed up carburetor, but if it was to where it was supposed to be, it would look like that. Okay? It's going to go right, sitting where the gasket is, but you want to take the gasket off. You want it to be bare. Okay? On a bare carburetor with no gasket, it's going to be perfectly level like that. Okay? Real simple. So this has the gasket on it. This thing is all gummy, and you can see how dirty it is. I scored this for 10 bucks on eBay. But that goes on there like that, and you bring it up to there, and then you adjust it by, see that center line right there, the center pin? I'll show you how to adjust. I'm going to adjust this one. I use a pick, okay, because it works pretty easy. With your finger, you gently lift up the float. You stick this thing's really out of adjustment, and you can just fold it over. See, I like to use those grooves. Fold it down, and now it adjusts a little bit more. And you're gonna keep playing with that until you get that effect right there. Until you get that effect right there. Until it's even. The top of the quarter should be top even with the float. And to get that, to adjust it up and down, you bend that little tab in there. I use a pick. Some people use a small nail. You can use a nail, just put it in there and wedge it down. You can use a screwdriver, but I think it's kind of abrasive, you know. So that's how you adjust the float. If you don't have the proper measurement tool, you can use a quarter, 25-cent piece. Okay, so we got that part nailed down. The other thing I had a question on was, what is the compression on these things? How do I test my compression? Well, when you're doing compression, you're testing the integrity of the cylinder. You're testing the integrity of the piston, the cylinder, and all relation parts. Rings, piston, cylinder, head gasket. Okay? You're testing all those when you do a compression test. Alright, so for the compression tester that I use a Craftsman. Some people like Snap-on, but I got this really cool Craftsman kit. And it's a really high quality kit. It's a professional series. And it's really nice. It's got the decompression on the side so you can release. It's got a quick disconnect at the bottom. Alright, and then it's got a bunch of adapters. Let me get that right out of there for you. I'll show you all this. I've showed you this in one of my other videos too, but I'll show you again. Alright, so it's got different plugs, different spark plugs. You gotta pick the one that's closest to yours. Mine has this one has the longer plug. So I grab the longer plug. And you want to match it up to the spark plug. Always. Even if it's been sitting in a case. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Take it, a nice a tissue or a rag or something, and wipe off the threads. Okay? And inspect them. Wipe off your seal, your O-ring. The idea behind this is you want this tool to be accurate. So a clean tool is an accurate tool. Okay? It's got a little check valve in there. You do the compression. This cylinder is not mounted on, by the way. So I'm just going to show you anyway. Screw it in until it seats. You don't have to Gorilla tighten it. Should be just about the length of the spark plug. That's why you got to pick the one closest to yours. This is the one closest to mine. See how the compression test right there looks? Then you screw it back on, or you don't have to take your head off. This one's already off, so I wanted to show you how it looks on the other side. You take your tool, quick disconnect, boom. Now, you do the compression test after the engine is warmed up, okay? You're gonna shut the ignition switch off. You're gonna have the engine up to temperature, connect the gauge, shut the spark off, okay? You can shut the fuel off. You don't want to flood, you don't want to put gasoline to it, you know what I mean? So, after the engine's warmed, you're gonna hold the throttle wide open. You're gonna give it 5 full kicks. The compression should read on a regular KE, KD, KM, 100 or 80. The compression should be 105 on the low and 164 on the high. Okay, on the high side. If you have a G4 or the Trail Boss 100 with the high compression head, or using the cylinder head that I have on my bike, your compression on the low end should be 111 to 172 psi. So once again, if you're using a factory, or if you got a G3 motor like that one, okay, that one over there is also a 105 to 164 psi. So that's how you do that. 5 kicks, throttle wide open, ignition off, fuel off, and you should be within that range. Okay, it should be within that range. Very important. Okay, and then as always, make sure you clean. Make sure it's nice and clean before you put them away, because your tools are your livelihood. So put those things away. Make sure they're nice and clean. Okay. Spark plug in I always wipe off when I put them away and when I take them out. It's a habit. I had a piece of dirt stuck in a thread one time and it almost messed up a cylinder head on me. After that, it's been crazy. So I'm going to leave this tool out because I'm going to use this part again to show you on another part. Okay, so we got that part nailed down, and that's how you do a compression test, and that's what your compression should be. Okay, now what are some of the things that would alter compression? Well, sometimes your piston rings get worn. Okay, see how that's dull? It's got a dull look to it. That's how it's supposed to look. If you have a washed cylinder, and what I mean by washed is the cylinder's glazed. When you look inside of the cylinder, it's all like shiny, really like smooth. You tend to get a lot of blow by. And I don't know if you can see these rings. See how shiny these rings? Well, I got fingerprints on them now. I don't know if you can see them. They almost look silver, like chrome. Okay? And you look real. You can't really see it on the camera. Darn it. Well, you can see little up and down grooves. Okay, you can't see them on this right here right now. But if you take a really close look at your ring, you'll see how worn they are. Okay? Rings also wear thickness-wise. That's why you have to check your ring gap. Alright? So ring gaps have a wide variety. Okay? So I'm going to talk to you about ring gaps. What is ring gap? How do I check it? And why is it important? Okay. Ring gap is... the rings are what gives you your compression. Okay? All the work is done on the rings. It's not the piston that does the work. It's the rings. The rings are the heart of it. If your ring is bad, broken, then it's no good. You're going to have to replace them. So the gap is in between here. Just, I don't know if you can see that. No, here we go. The gap is right in here, the gap. Alright? So you'll notice that there's a little part of the groove. Sorry, it's an Apple phone. It's not very... hold on, let me see if I can get a... blow this up on it. I want to show you. Focus. No? Fine. Alright, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw it out for you. Let me see if I can find a pen. Get a pen and I'll show you. Here we go. Alright. I used to be an artiste. No, just kidding. I'm not an artist. Alright. So your piston ring is going to look like this. Sorry, it's a little exaggerated. Okay, the gap is going to have these two little notches cut out on it. And you're probably like, yeah, I've seen that before. What's that for? I'm going to show you what that's for. But see this gap? That right there is what you're measuring. Not up here. Down bottom. Okay? Now, that little part that I showed you, that little hook part, is on these pistons. See if I can find a good one. There is a pin. Okay, that's an alignment pin. There's one here, and there's one on the top ring, further over. Okay? And those pins stop the ring from twisting in the cylinder. Okay, they hold it straight. So when you put your piston rings in, you want to make sure that the pinholes go up. So when they're together, that part right there goes up. Alright, now, how do you measure a ring gap? I'm going to show you. My cylinder right there. I was going to use that one, but I'm going to use an actual cylinder. You're going to need your piston that goes to your bike. If you're replacing the piston, you can use the old one, unless it's severely damaged. Show you. Okay, so when you're checking your ring gap, you got your jug, cylinder, whatever you want to call it. Okay, first things first, you're going to take a rag, a clean one. This one's getting rebored out, so you're going to take it, you're going to wipe it out really, really good. Okay, make sure there's no debris or debris in there, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you're going to take your ring, If it's a used ring, you're going to wipe it down, make sure it's clean. You're going to put that little notch up where it goes, and then you're going to fit it into the cylinder. Being gently, okay? So it fits in there. Now you're probably wondering, why do you need the old piston? I'll show you. Take the old piston, and you're going to push it down on top of it to your second ring land. Okay? What does that do? That squares the ring. The ring is now perfectly square. Okay? That's very important. So the ring is not oblong or off-shaped in the cylinder. It is perfectly around the cylinder where it needs to be. Now, I'm going to take you guys further in. Okay. Let me see if I can get a, what do you call it there? Okay, I got a flashlight. And there you go. Now you can see the ring gap. Right there. See how nice it looks? Oh, that's a good picture of it right there. Okay. Now, you're going to take your feel gauge. I'm just going to take a random one, just for all intents and purposes. It's not going to be the right one for it. I'm just going to grab one. Whoop, drop my flashlight. Okay. Okay, got that right there. You're going to take your feel gauge right here, and you're going to put it right square in the gap and measure it. Okay, and then you're going to read the numbers on the tool and get your numbers. Okay, this ain't the right one. It's just fit in there really loose, but that's how you check your ring gap. Okay, you want to be able to push it up and down so it doesn't move left or right. It's nicely firm in there, but it's not tight enough to drag it up and down. The ring does not move. So when you put the gap, the feel gauge into the piston ring, okay, and you're going up and down, you should feel it have a little bit of a drag, just a gentle drag, and it should not move the ring. That is a proper gap. Okay, the piston ring gap on your KD80s, your KD100s, your KE100s happen to be all the same. The piston ring gap in metric is 0.15 to 0.65. That is huge. That gives you a lot of room to play with, guys and ladies and gentlemen. In inches, it's 0.006 to 0.026. So, I mean, you can get a pretty good gap on there, and this thing's still going to run. However, the bigger the gap is going to lower your compression. The smaller the gap, the better compression. Okay, so if you're worried about, okay, my bike is just at the minimum of 105 PSI when I did my compression test, you're going to have a big gap on that ring. And that ring is basically when you're looking at a bike and you go in there, to check out a bike, you say, can I put a compression test on it? And they'll say, yeah, sure, go ahead. So you take your compression test with you when you go to buy a bike. You warm it up, you pop the plug out, and you do what I told you earlier. And you'll be able to tell by the compression how the rings and cylinder is. It's that simple. Another good idea to do, if you have a bike, most places won't let you do this, but when you buy a bike, you pull the exhaust off, and you look at the skirt on the cylinder, okay, and you're looking for heavy scoring like that. Okay, that means the bike has been ran lean, and you could have some potential wear problems down the road. All right, wow, we're moving right along here. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the cylinder heads. Okay, depending upon what you got for a bike, this part right here really applies to the older bikes, like the Trail Boss, like the KMs and the KDs. Anything that has a cast iron cylinder with an aluminum cylinder head. Okay, the problem with these is they heat up at two different types. You're better off to have a cast iron jug and a cast iron head. as opposed to how the bikes come. They come with a lightweight aluminum head on a cast iron cylinder. Now, if you ever owned a GM from the 80s, you'll know that they had a lot of cylinder head gasket problems because they had a cast iron block and an aluminum cylinder head. It's the same problem. Okay, we're going to see that right clear across the board. It's almost inevitable. So you want to be sure that you check your cylinder head torque every now and then because it's only 16 foot-pounds. So as general maintenance, before you when you first take the bike out, check your cylinder head cylinder head torque. Okay, throw a wrench on it. I got some head gaskets here. Some of these I've used for I keep the copper gaskets because they're the best gasket scrapers. I don't have any here. Shoot, I did. Well, I just went slightly. What you're looking for, okay, is, see this black mark right here? That's a burn mark. Okay, you're looking for a trail. If you see a black mark going out, alright, you'll see it like, the gasket will look perfectly fine. Oh, right here, perfect. This is what I'm looking for. See the burn mark? I did have one. That's a burn mark right there. That's a blown head gasket. That's a loose cylinder head or a warped head. So you want to check that, okay? If you see that on your bike, first thing you do is take the bike, take it apart and clean it, okay? Because these head gaskets, you can use these again. All right, they don't really crush down. They are what they are, and they seal pretty well. Okay, you want to check your cylinder and you check your cylinder head for warpage, which I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, if you see that burn mark, where is it? Right there. You have a loose cylinder head or a warped head. Or worst case scenario, a warped jug, which is not very rare. You don't really see that too often. So, you have to use your book and find out what the warp specifications are for a head. But what you gotta do is you gotta clean the gasket surface here. Okay? Like that. You're gonna take a straight edge. You're gonna take a straight edge, a piece of steel that's really straight, and you're gonna put it on like this. You're gonna take a filler gauge, the smallest one you got. So whatever you got for a small filler gauge. Always start with the smallest one you got. And this is the fattest one. I don't know what that. Boy, this kit's awful. Okay. So you're going to check it in multiple different places. Take your straight edge, you put it on here, and you're going to see if you can put this underneath. So I can put it underneath right there. Oh, that was a foul. That was my bad. Checking it on all four ends. And then you're going to check it crossways here, 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 and here. And check it and see if you have a warped head. Oftentimes you'll be able to see light through it if it's really warped. This is not a warped head, luckily for me. But if you did have one that overheated, it could be warped. And typically you'll see like the aluminum start to blister, it start to burn a hole, normally on a lean bike. Or an overheated bike. So, that's how you check a warped cylinder head. Okay, so now, well, we're moving right along. Okay, so how can I tell if my bike is firing when it's supposed to fire? I have points ignition, and I'm really concerned that I didn't do my points properly. How do I tell? Okay, so let's get into that. I'm going to show you what this is. Got my gun here. It's my fully automatic, high power. This Star Trek looking thing is called a timing light. And you can get these at an auto parts store. You can rent them. It's got an on and off button right there. And guess what? It's just a strobe light. That's all it is. It flashes. And it flashes every time the spark fires. Now I don't have a coil handy to show you, but I'm going to show you how it hooks up. Okay? You have your negative and positive leads. You're going to need a 12-volt battery. You can use a car battery, but I just use an old motorcycle battery, you know. Nothing big. Nothing, just need a little 12-volt battery. Okay. You're going to clamp your, what do you call it there? Battery terminals onto it, just like so. And then this end right here clamps right on your coil wire. So right where your coil wire is, you're going to clamp that right onto your coil wire. So let's, I'm going to use a screwdriver. We're going to pretend that's my coil wire. Okay, and I'm just going to clamp that on like this. It just goes right over the coil wire. Boom. Now what do I do with this? Well, let's see if I can focus you in here a little bit. I removed the points and all that type of stuff from this motor. So, basically this comes right off. Okay, so on your flywheel you got a mark here, and then if you look just to the left of the top bolt underneath here, there is a another mark. Alright, let's see if I can tip this motor back. See the red mark? Oh, actually, hold on a minute. There we go. Alright, do you see that red mark? Right where my finger is? Right there? Just to the left of the top bolt where your mag goes onto. Okay, you're going to see this, the flywheel's going to be on there. Like that. Okay, now they line up. Let me see if I can put the light in a little better. Sorry about the lighting, guys. Okay, they line up. Now, every time the flywheel passes it, it's going to fire. Every single time. Okay, it's going to go bang. It's going to give a spark. Okay? Now this engine right here idles at 1300 RPM. So, what you're going to do is you're going to take your timing light, you're going to aim it, click it on, and every time that the flywheel passes that line, it's going to flash. Now here's the cool thing. Even though this thing is spinning out of control and you can't see it because it's spinning so fast, when you turn this on, it's going to look like it's not even running. Come summertime, I'm going to show you that. But it's going to look like it's not even running. It's going to look like it's just standing there still. You might see it shake a little bit, but it's going to look like it's standing still. It's not, but because it's a strobe light and it fires every time, it's going to look like it's standing still, and you're going to be able to see the mark. And that's how you can tell if your bike is firing properly at where it's supposed to be at the degree it's supposed to be at. Okay? And that's for points and electronic ignition. Pretty neat, huh? Okay, so since we are moving on, real quick, I'm gonna I'll be right back. I forgot to go grab something. Right back. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Alright, so we're just gonna move on because I thought I had a coil out and I didn't have a coil out. I'm gonna show you the next thing. These bikes idle at 1300 RPM, according to the book. That's the idle is 1300 RPM. So you can pick these up at a yard sale. They're like $5-6. It's a tack and dwell tester, okay, and it's real simple to do. When you adjust in your carburetor, get the bike down to idle speed. Okay, you're just gonna put it onto RPMs. That does tack and dwell. You're gonna put it onto RPM. Okay, right there. Let me see if I can focus you guys out here for a second. Alright, hold on. Alright, good, yep. Okay. So it's like that, and then you're gonna put this green wire onto the black and white wire on your ignition, and then you're gonna ground the side of it right here to the block. You can ground it right to the head if you want. Doesn't really matter. And then you'll be able to look on the RPM side and adjust it to your 1300 RPM. So pretty cool. Another little helpful tip. For those of you who what do you call it? They like that sort of thing, messing around with some old school tools. That's pretty much how you do that. Couple of other tools that I personally use when I'm working on these bikes, when I'm removing the pistons. This right here, this cool tool. This is a piston pin removal tool. You take your clip out, you put that in like so, and you can push it right clear through. Okay, because some of these things can be a real bear. And if you had a tap on it, you could tap on it without destroying your wrist pin. Okay. The other thing I had a question on, another person asked me a question on, is removal of the piston pin. Okay, these clips. Now they said that when they did it, they put a burr on the side of your piston. And that can happen. Often or not, it doesn't, but it can happen. When I'm removing a piston clip, the C-clip that goes inside here and holds it, it's got the ring like that with the little clip. I don't want to pry against the piston. So what I do is I take a nice little piece of cardboard, nothing dramatic. I put it on the side of the piston, like so, just over the hole. Put my pin in there, and then I pry against the cardboard. I don't know if you can see it, it's lifting the pin. Okay, the clip. And that's how I do it. I pry against the cardboard, and it doesn't hurt the piston. So that's a little tip for you. Use a little chunk of cardboard. You can even use paper. It just protects the piston from being marred up. Okay, wow, we're moving right along. This is great. Okay. Now, I got a real quick and easy one. What is another good cylinder head to use? I want my bike to have just a different style head to make it look different from the other people's. Makes perfect sense. A lot of people do it. These are all aluminum heads. I'm going to show you the difference between the KD, the KM. That's the KD head right there. Okay. The only difference is the spark plug is at a slight angle. But other than that, the compression chamber is the same. Your compression will be the same, and this is actually lighter. Okay? And when painted up, that right there looks pretty cool. And it gives it that real old 70s look, if you like the old style. And it will bolt right onto a KD or KM head, or jug. Okay, so it's a KE100 motor with a KD80 head. The head gasket is the same, everything's the same, just the spark plug goes in at an angle. That is not a broken fin. That is a fin to allow you to get a socket in there to access your spark plug. But other than that, it's a really cool looking head. And you can get these for a KM or a KD80. Or KM100. Even the KD100, I believe, has that same head. Okay, great. Alright, so now, we're going to go on to another part. Okay. So, now I have a lean condition. This is another question. How do I find out if it's a leaky crankshaft seal? The crankshaft seals, one side is kind of difficult to get to. You have to remove the clutch cover side. The other side, you have to remove the magneto and the point plate back of it, or the CDI plate, whatever you want to call it. And it's not too bad. So I'm back there. This is what it looks like. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys a couple things that I do. I'm going to use this motor again. Kind of been my go-to motor tonight. So no sense of breaking tradition. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you guys what I do to find a leaky crankshaft seal. Really simple, really easy. Is that tool again I used. The compression with that end on it. Okay, so we're going to put this up like this. We're going to screw this back into the cylinder head. Just like so. Okay. Then I'm going to show you this tool right here. This is a leak down tester with a pressure regulator. I regulate this thing right down to like nothing. I mean, just like a pound. Okay, until it's all the way down to low. Okay, I don't care what the gauge is reading. I just want it way down. I like it maybe a pound or so off. Okay, I don't want to blow out a seal. Then I stick this end on the end of my my compression tool, so it looks like this. Okay, the compression tool is now into my what do you call it there? My pressure regulator manifold system, and I have my air compressor hooked up to here. Now I'm pumping air into the engine. Okay, I got the exhaust system off. I got the flywheel, the magneto. I got all those parts and pieces torn off. I have the I'm gonna take this back apart because I gotta spin the motor. I have this whole cover right here torn off, and what's exposed? The intake right there. Okay, that's what's exposed when you take this off. You're gonna see this right here. This is the rotary valve plate. You can see there's a crankshaft seal right here. That's what you're gonna see. Your carburetor bolts right here, and your oil are right there. Okay, and then you're gonna have a gear right here that drives your clutch. Okay. Now, what I do is I seal off a couple of things. I have some caps. These you could get anywhere. They're just caps. Find something that fits in your house, that fits over it. I put this on here on the intake, like so, and I'll put a hose clamp on it. And I'll take another one like this, right here, and I'll put that in the exhaust. Okay, and then I'll tighten down the flange without the exhaust system on it. Now, when I'm putting air into here, into the spark plug hole, I'm not getting air out the intake or out the exhaust. It's a sealed unit now. Okay? The crankshaft is all the way down at bottom, top, dead center. So, after that, so I have about 2 pounds of air going into the cylinder, which is charging the whole crankcase, not the transmission section, just the crankcase. Alright, I'm blocked off on the intake, so I'm not going to lose anything out the rotary valve. I got the exhaust blocked off, so I got nothing coming out the exhaust. To check it, I just grab some cleaner, a spray bottle of cleaner, and I spray around the exhaust real quick and make sure I'm not getting any bubbles out there. Alright, so no bubbles, I'm good there. I spray around the intake, no bubbles there, I'm good. Alright, then there's still air going into the motor. It's just going to regulate and stay at 2 psi. Okay, it's not going to go up, it's not going to go down. So then I'm going to spray around all the bolt holes and around the crankshaft. See if I have any bubbles. If I don't have any bubbles, I move on to the next side. I spray around here, around the crankshaft. See if I have any bubbles there. Bubbles are air escaping through them, and that tells you have a bad seal. However, putting too much pressure, a lot of people try using one of these jerry rigs right here. Okay, it's got it's just a spark plug fitting with a air chuck. This is good if you're doing valves on a car. You screw it into the spark plug hole, charge the cylinder, holds the valves closed, and then you can do your seals. Not in this case. We want it low pressure. We just want to see bubbles. If I get bubbles, I replace that seal. If I don't have bubbles, I move on. So then I spray around the bottom part of the jug, where it meets up with the we call it the block. Checking for bubbles around all the way around, all four sides. No bubbles. I move to the second stage, where the head gasket would be. I spray around all four of those. If nothing, I spray around the spark plug holes and the spark plug. If I have no bubbles at all, I have a sealed unit, and my lean condition is not my crankshaft seals. It is not my gaskets. Everything is solid. If I do see bubbles on this side right here and not the other, I replace this crankshaft seal. If you see bubbles on the other side, if it comes around here, there's a big giant O-ring that fits into that groove, and I'll replace that O-ring and the seals while I'm in there. Okay? So that's some tips to check and see if you need crankshaft seals. Also too, back on the compression part, I want you guys to note that a bad rotary valve that's been rusted and pitted can also lower your compression. This valve right here basically rides on the inside part there, and if it has any grooves worn into it, okay, it would be bad. You'll have to replace it. See there, it's a valve, so it actually flexes when it's running. So you want to make sure that everything seals as it should, and you don't want no grit. You hear the grit? That's just because they're hanging out and I use a set for demo. But you shouldn't have no grit. It should be nice and smooth. And when you reassemble these, do yourself a favor, put a thin layer of assembly lube on the housing. Okay? That gives it some lubrication when it first starts up. Because remember, that little jet right there, that's your oiler. That's your automatic oil injection tube. That comes through here when your tube comes off your oiler. It goes into that hole right there, feeds into there, and injects it into the engine. If that's plugged, you're not going to get no oil. But the engine's not going to take right off with oil, so give it some. See how it is? Look, it sprays directly into the cylinder. Right there, boom, cuts it off. So keep that in mind. Alright, so there was a lot of information, guys. Feel free to keep going back and forth and reviewing the videos and checking it. I hit on a ton of questions because I received a ton of questions. And I just wanted to do kind of a follow-up, a clarified video on the different motors, the compression, leak down, float adjustments, a little tip with the quarter, and what I use for some tools, the cardboard on the piston to remove the clip, how to check a ring. I understand a lot of you guys are backyard mechanics. This is your first bike and you guys love it and you guys just are enjoying my videos. I get a lot of positive feedback on them, and I'm really honored and happy to help you guys out with these videos. And it means a lot to me to be able to do these for you. So we call it there. I have a lot of, you know, I wanted to show you, oh yeah, another part of the video real quick, last part. That right there is the 90cc G3 motor that was on that bike I did the 12 volt conversion on. And that's got the cast iron cylinder too. That piston is the same, it's a 90. It's the same piston used in the 80. However, they have two different strokes. So that's how they got away with that. Pretty neat. And the G390, you can bolt the KE100 motor right up to it. It'll fit right in. They're all the same bolt pattern. The G3s, the G5s, the Trail Bosses, even you can put a 10-speed motor on a KE100. It wouldn't matter. It would take it. But you have to adjust the exhaust. The exhaust is not going to line up for you. Also, too, I want to show you guys one more thing. The Trail Boss 100s and the KE100s have two different pistons. Okay? One has a small pin and one has the bigger pin. And there's also a height difference. Okay? The stroke is different. The Trail Boss 100 has a shorter jug and a shorter stroke. Okay? That's also the motor that the high compression head comes off of, is a Trail Boss 100. Now, this is pretty cool. I'm going to teach you guys this real quick. And we've got the flange. I'm going to teach you guys how to tell if you have a small piston pin diameter and a big piston pin diameter without even taking the motors apart. Okay? So how can you tell? I'm going to show you. Real easy. You're going to love it. Take that off. Slide you out. Okay. Now, looking at the exhaust. See how they're at an angle? That has the large pin. That is the KE100 cylinder, which takes the big pin. If you have a jug where the two bolt holes are like that, straight on, dead on, okay? They're not at an angle like this. You know what I'm talking about, the holes, the bolt holes, the flange holes? Okay, if they don't go on at an angle and they go on straight, if it goes on straight, parallel across, yours takes the small pin, okay? So, pretty much, if it's a KE100 with a angled, it is the big pin. If it's straight across, it's a small pin. And that right there is pretty much what I had for you guys. So I touched on a lot. There's a lot in this video. Feel free to keep looking at it and go back and forth. Also, too, my son's got a bunch of PJ Masks videos. If you guys have kids, please show them the video. I'm sure they'll get a kick out of some of the PJ Masks stuff. And as always, thank you guys for watching my videos. Please subscribe. And I'm looking forward to doing a ton more videos. Come spring, come summer, we're going to be out there. We're going to be doing bikes like crazy. I got all kinds of stuff that we're going to be doing. So, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Please share the videos and like them. Thank you.